Welcome to the regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting for the City of Westminster, California, June 19th, 2024. It's now 6:30 and a half, 6:31 p.m.
6:32.
Clerk, if you wouldn't mind, please take roll.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Wilbur.
Here.
Vice Chair Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Bowie.
Here.
Commissioner Hamade.
Here.
Commissioner Power. Chair, you have a quorum with Commissioner Power absent.
Thank you. Now's the time we'd like to stand and salute the flag. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Agenda item number 3, the report from the Planning Secretary on any late communications.
We have no late communications, Chair.
Thank you so much. Item number 4 on our agenda tonight is ex parte communications, and this section is intended to allow all officials the opportunity to reveal any disclosure regarding site visits or ex parte communications about the public hearings and regular business items. Commissioners, any communications?
No.
None tonight. Fantastic. Item number 5 is special presentations. I believe we have none. Item number 6 will be oral communications. Clerk, would you mind reading the procedure in a roll for the record?
Thank you, Chair. This is the time of the meeting that members of the public may address the Planning Commission on matters of public interest, which pertain to the city and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Members of the public wishing to address public hearing items shall do so at the time of the public hearing. Unless extended by a majority vote of the Planning Commission, comment shall be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. To address the Planning Commission, please complete a blue request to speak form that is provided at the entrance to the council chambers and submit the form to the Planning Commission clerk. When your name is called, please step to the podium at that time, state your name and city of residence for the record. We have one speaker today, Chair, Terry Raines.
Testing. Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Terry Raines, Westminster. I was sad to learn Planning Commissioner Power will be resigning in July because he's moving out of Westminster. We need more smart, professional people on this commission like him who can fully understand policy, procedure, and law, especially in light of the very complex, large-scale projects expected to come before this commission in the next couple of years. So, Jameson, wherever you are, you will be greatly missed. I'd also like to wish planning manager or former planning manager Steve Ratke the best in his retirement from the city after his many years of service. I received an email via a PRA request response that indicated Director Lynn was willing to fulfill my ongoing request for 3 years now to manually produce a status report of all major active development projects going on in the city, similar to what Placentia produces monthly. I didn't get that impression when speaking to her and planning manager Steve Ratke directly, though. Regardless, everyone in the city, staff, residents, developers, council members, commissioners, and business owners deserve to know what is currently being constructed in our city. Producing such a report would greatly reduce the number of emails and phone calls from residents to city staff and elected officials asking what is going on around them. Although some steps have already been taken, many more changes need to be made to bring the planning and building departments fully up to speed, especially in the areas of customer service, department consistency, and communication with applicants. InterGov software upgrades must be managed far better than they were in the past. All of this is part of this City Council strategic plan, goals, and objectives. Supplemental budget requests for several new positions in planning were submitted with no justification. Subsequently, and rightfully so, those new position requests were removed from the supplemental list presented to the City Council at their last budget study session. Throwing more money at the problem won't fix the inherent issues within the department. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I will be providing comments for the public hearing item 8.1 later on. And as you see, I provided handouts for each of you related to my public hearing comments that I hope you'll take a look at. I ask that you please seriously consider all public testimony and evidence provided to you before you begin deliberations on this and any public hearing item. Thank you.
Chair, we have no further speakers.
Fantastic.
Excuse me, Chair. Would it be possible, our little auxiliary speakers aren't working up on the dais? Is there a way, is that something that our techs have to activate? Or is it something you can activate?
I can try. Just give me one moment. That would be tech. I don't have the ability on my end.
Okay, well, maybe they can hear my request. If maybe they can get our little speakers activated on the dais, that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you not hear my comments, commissioners?
Yeah, this is difficult for me to hear without the little auxiliary speakers up here.
All right. I would like to go ahead and close the oral communication for item number 6 on the agenda. We'll go into item number 7, which is approval minutes, and we have a couple that we need to approve. First, we'll take March 20th, 2024.
Move approval.
I'll second.
I have a motion made by Commissioner Hamade, seconded by Vice Chair Anderson. This is to approve the minutes for the March 20th, 2024 meeting. I'll go to call roll. Commissioner Bowie? Yes. Commissioner Hamade?
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Chair Wolbert?
Yes.
4-0, motion carried.
We also have minutes that we need approved from April 17th, 2024.
Yes.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Commissioner Bowie, seconded by Commissioner Hamade. That's to approve the minutes for April 17th, 2024. I'll go to call roll. Commissioner Bowie? Yes. Commissioner Hamade?
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson?
Yes.
Chair Wolbert?
Yes.
4-0, motion carried.
All right, we'll move on to item number 8 of the agenda, our public hearings. Clerk, would you please read the record, or read the procedure into record again?
Anyone wishing to speak on an open public hearing should complete a blue request to speak form that is provided at the entrance of the council chambers and submit the form to the Planning Commission clerk. When your name is called, please step to the podium and state your name and city of residence for the record. Each attendee will have 5 minutes to comment on each public hearing item. The applicant or their designee will have 12 minutes to speak and will also be provided a 5-minute rebuttal. With the exception of the applicant or designee, all attendees may only speak once. The Planning Commission may use its discretion to allow a speaker to exceed the allotted time or may ask a speaker to return to the podium to answer additional questions.
All right, we are on to item number 8.1, case number 2023-077, the conditional use permit.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item will be presented by our Associate Planner, Sandy Kim.
Sandy, before you present, can we make sure that we have video? There we go, video's popping back up now. And then can we ask tech if there's a way to get these speakers going in a short amount of time, or how much time it would take, if we can get that done or not, before we start 8.1?
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we're doing it right now. If you want to take a quick pause.
And who is our hero that's coming out?
If I could get clarification, though, Commissioners, you can see it on your screens?
We can see on the screens now.
Perfect.
I know dead air is never fun, but technology is important. We have very detailed presentations tonight, so we want to make sure that not only our viewing audience at home, everybody here, and our commissioners can see and hear exactly what's being presented.
Is there a way for you guys to test if you can hear? Hear anything? Test,
Still
test.
nothing out of the box.
Do, 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 do. Test, test. Mm-hmm.
It's always the power cord. It's always the power cord.
Chair, if I can make a suggestion, if it's highly important for the commission to have this fixed before we move forward, I would suggest potentially doing a 5 or 10 minute recess, so that way we can allow staff to mediate the issue.
Let's do this. Is it possible to get the House speakers up a little bit?
I can do the House speakers.
We could do house
Okay.
speakers if
Do
that's...
the house speakers up a little bit. That way we won't have to waste any more time on these little boxes, and I think that will be probably sufficient enough.
Okay. And if I can ask staff and anyone who comes to speak to just try to speak a little bit more loudly, that would help our commissioners up at the dais.
Let's give it a shot.
Chair, if you want to move forward.
Yes, we would. That would be great.
The little speakers are working.
Can you hear me okay up there? Okay.
Good.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. Tonight's presentation involves the planning case number 2023-0777, a request for a conditional use permit on property located at 14190 Beach Boulevard. APN number is 097-080-36. The applicant is seeking for an approval of a conditional use permit to upgrade the existing on-sale beer and wine alcohol license to include distilled spirits. Distilled spirits includes alcohol beverages such as whiskey, brandy, vodka, rum, gin, and tequila. The existing alcohol license type 42 is typically issued to bars and nightclubs, and type 47 license is typically issued to bona fide restaurants with a complete kitchen. The project site is located on the northeast corner of Beach and 13th Street. The highlighted area identifies the location of the project site. The project site is zoned mixed-use 40 with a housing overlay and is surrounded by other mixed-use 40 with and without the housing overlay zones to the north, south, east, and west. The city's general plan land use designation of the project site is mixed-use civic center, and it is consistent with the zoning, and the surrounding general plan land uses are mixed-use civic center to the north, east, and south, and mixed-use corridor is across Beach Boulevard. The project site is currently developed with commercial shopping center, which includes Sam Ash Music Store and OC Entertainment, which is currently now called Lavender. The project site is surrounded by professional and government office buildings to the north and east. An existing restaurant with entertainment use is also located just north of the project site, business known as Blue. To the south are multifamily residential and commercial uses. The proposed floor plan is broken into 3 sections or areas. The majority of the floor plan or floor area is dedicated to restaurant use and banquet, with existing entertainment stage and dance floor to remain in place for continuing use of entertainment uses. The former offices are proposed to be converted into a new kitchen that includes a hood system, walk-in cooler, freezer, storage room, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing upgrades, and a grease trap. The media production facility, which is identified in the purple area, but it's identified as a kitchen, the media production will cease and will be converted into a kitchen for if the project is approved. At this time, I'd like to provide some background of the subject business. So back in January of 2021, the Planning Commission approved the planning case number 2019-239, which allowed the operation of the nightclub and banquet facility with on-sale beer and wine to serve during the entertainment business operating hours, which is every day from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. when media facility closed formally. Media production facility operated Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. But again, the applicant is currently proposing to cease all media production to create a kitchen. Additionally, the Planning Commission approved the shared parking agreement to address the on-site parking demand for the project shopping center and entertainment uses. The shared parking provision allows for shared parking between all the tenants within the same shopping center in lieu of providing additional on-site parking spaces for entertainment use. The applicant is now proposing to convert the existing alcohol license type 42 to type 47, which includes unsold distilled spirits. According to California Department of Alcohol Beverage Control, also known as ABC, an alcohol license type 47 requires a bona fide restaurant with complete kitchen. Therefore, the proposed project includes the kitchen. However, the city also provides a clear definition of a restaurant, and it states, it states that restaurant as an establishment whose principal business activity is service of prepared foods for on-site consumption during all hours of the business is open. A complete kitchen must be provided, including, but not limited to, oven, stove, refrigeration, freezer, exhaust hood, grease inceptors, cutting and preparation areas, dishwashing area or machine, employee sink and mop. The kitchen must be staffed by a full-time cook or chef. And stocked with all food supplies required for the various items on the menu. A full menu is offered for breakfast, lunch, and/or dinner. Alcohol beverage may be sold for a on-site consumption. The sale of the beverage, alcohol beverage, shall be incidental, allowing no more than 30% of the gross receipt. Additionally, the code defines the restaurant to be less than 60% of the public area, which excludes the kitchen. The proposed floor plan includes approximately 65% for the restaurant use, which exceeds the city's minimum floor plan of 60%. Existing stage and dance floor is about approximately 16%, and the new kitchen will make up about 14%. Staff assessment. The project has been analyzed and determined that the proposed conversion of alcohol license to include distilled spirit is allowed in the mixed-use 40 zoning district with approval of a conditional use permit. Per state licensing, the applicant is providing bona fide restaurant with complete kitchen to serve food. The new restaurant is consistent with the city's definition of a restaurant used not less than requires 60% of the floor area. However, the city's definition of a restaurant is stricter than state's definition, which imposes the maximum alcohol sales to be no more than 30% of the gross receipt. Therefore, I recommend the conditions of approval are included in the draft resolution, which addresses maximum 30%. Analysis of the alcohol license is provided by the Westminster Police Department and includes a number of unsold alcohol license by the census tract and the crime data. The project site is located in the census tract 998.03 and allows maximum of 7 on-sale liquor licenses in the census tract. Currently, there are 11 on-sale licenses, which includes Lavender's current alcohol license, and it is considered to be oversaturated. Before you is a list of alcohol licenses that was provided by the ABC. The list provides the addresses and business names, license types, and special notes. ABC states that there are 2 types of alcohol licenses. Typically, the businesses have master license, and sometimes those master license holders can have secondary license to one, which can be issued to one business. The table shows that lines 6, 7, and 9, and as you could see on the note column, which is the last column, indicates that it's a secondary license to the master license. For example, Jay's Catering has a master license 47, but he also has a catering, which does not count towards the saturation count. Seafood Paradise also has a master and a secondary license for catering. Therefore, the total saturation count for census tract is 8. This census tract map identifies all businesses with ABC's license as shown from the previous slide with the list. You can see that the subject site is identified in the yellow box, and next to it is blue, and just on the south is Uncle Pete's Cafe. Crime assessment. Westminster Police Department reported that the subject site is located in the Police District 19 and is classified as a high crime area. However, the Westminster Police Department has indicated that over the last 12 months, there has not been an excessive number of calls for service to the subject business location. They have indicated that there have been 4 location checks and 1 vehicle impound at the project site. Shared parking assessment. The city's traffic engineers determined that existing parking condition is adequate and that the proposed project would not trigger a new parking study because the proposed restaurant parking requirement is less than existing entertainment venue per Westminster Parking Code. In the parking code, it states that up to 20% of the gross floor area of the entire shopping center can be used as for food retail businesses without providing additional parking. Anything over that 20% of the total gross area, then those extra square footage will require 1 parking for every 100 square feet. The table provides the parking analysis. The project requires 127 parking spaces, whereas the former nightclub banquet required 152 parking spaces. The subject property currently has 122 existing parking spaces. Therefore, the deficit is far less than previous assessment. This is an assessment from the case number 2019-239, and as you can see, the deficit during the entertainment venue was 30. As indicated, current deficit as a restaurant would only be 5. Therefore, the traffic engineer has determined that no additional parking demand study should be done now. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the case 2023-0777, subject to conditions of approval as listed in the draft resolution. This concludes my presentation, and I can answer any questions that you may have. Additionally, the applicant is here in the audience, so if you have any specific business questions, you could also ask the applicant as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Commissioners, do you have any questions specifically to address for staff?
No.
Okay, thank you, staff, so much. In that case, I would like to go ahead and bring up the applicant.
May the applicant step forward. Go ahead and come forward.
Yeah, so at this time, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing, and we'll have the applicant speak first.
Before you begin, if you could just state your name for the record, please.
Good evening, Planning Commissioner. My name is David Fogg. Case number 2023-0777. And today we be here to request the license for operate for the Tab 47 with the kitchen, and we serve the food. So we hope you, our Planning Commissioner, approve for us. Thank you very much.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant before we move on to the next speaker?
Yes, I do, Chair.
Go ahead.
Yes. How long have you operated this particular location?
Yes, we was there since 2016, and then until 2018 we tried to put application. It's been almost like 6 years.
So 6 years?
Yes.
Okay. And what city do you live in?
What city?
Yes. Do you live in?
I used to live in the Fountain Valley, and then I moved to the Westminster.
Okay. Okay. Do you live in Westminster?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I have a question. When you start your business, did you pay a lot of business license to the city? Can you tell us approximately how much you have spent from
Yes.
the time you have it in 2015 or 16?
Yes, sir. We put a lot, I think, a couple of times for the application in the city. But the first time already approved for the tap license 48. But by that time, I don't have enough money to get a license. And then I didn't know it's already expired after 1 year. And then the second time, we tried to do again. But by that time, I think next year it failed. So actually, a couple of times we tried to put in, but we pay a lot of money for the CD. Also, we pay a lot of money for the landlord, and we spend a lot of money for everything, you know.
We have another question. How many times have you been to the hearing?
At least
And
3 times.
How many?
3 times.
3 times. How much did you spend per time to ask the city for a hearing?
I think over $50,000.
50,000?
That for the CD. And the cost of the remodeling and construction cost a lot of money, couple $100,000.
Do you know that you have a competition with the local neighbor? And is in that case, how can you solve the problem with your neighbor?
We try the best we can, you know. We don't have any problem, you know. No fighting, we never have any fighting or even whatever we obey with the city law, you know. We try everything the best we can. But the other neighbor, they try to get many problems, you know, for us. Even we try, you know, clear on our record, but they keep create the problem. That's why we very hard to get a license from the city. They just create the problem for us, that's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. You just stated that you spent $50,000 for license. Can you clarify? I'm confused with what you answered.
Yeah, actually, it's because one of the license we pay $17,000 plus the first license, but the 2 more license I think is over $50,000. So you can tell, they have that on a record.
Okay.
Hang on.
3 times already.
Okay.
That very small amount, whatever we pay for the city. But the big amount we pay for the construction, you know, because every code we do.
Construction is part of the business. Has nothing to do with the city. I just want to know about how much you paid the city.
The license,
Yes, the license.
I think the license, the application is over $50,000.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a few questions, if you don't mind. So currently, the business that you had before the name change to Lavender, that operated as a nightclub, is that correct?
No more.
No more
We're
nightclub.
so tired about nightclub because I have the competition. They don't want us to be a nightclub, so we try to put different business like restaurant. That's more easier, you know.
So now you want to operate as a standard type of restaurant?
Yeah, so we can serve everyone.
Okay.
Even like underage, you know, they would try to get family reunion or they want to have a dinner. That's good for everybody.
Okay, so more restaurant style, your local neighborhood Applebee's kind of feel to it, not a banquet hall or a nightclub.
Sometimes like people have the wedding, we can serve the wedding too, you know.
Okay.
Depend if they book the wedding or any event.
So it's still going to be an event space?
But that less that less more than we open a restaurant. Mostly the main is restaurant.
And are you losing any seats in your remodel? So you're still going to have the same number of seating available for restaurants?
Yeah,
here?
whatever the seat, we follow the city with the application,
Okay.
not over capacity.
As city stated that we have an oversaturation in your area, in your census area of full alcohol licenses, would you be willing and prepared to potentially carry your own security on property in the parking lot?
Oh yes, we've been doing that for a couple of years. We never had any problem with the, like fighting or other trouble.
Okay. And one of the other things that was mentioned by city staff was that there is a 30% cap on alcohol sales versus food and the rest of the restaurant. We want to make sure that you would have a very functional point of sale system that can track your alcohol sales so that those receipts can be turned into ABC and other code enforcement agencies.
Yes, we do have a bookkeeping and accounting for our business.
Okay.
Yes,
And is it electronic?
yes.
Mr. Chair, may I have another question?
Go right ahead, Tony. Thank
To
you.
my recollection, in the past couple years, I heard that there was a shooting and some people was killed in the area around your premise. Is that happen at your place or at the neighbor?
Yes, sir, the blue, the one next to me, my neighbor, it not happen in my place. Even the kid, sometimes they have the event for the kid. They come to my place and they park in our place and they do drinking and they threw all the bottle in our place. So the ABC came a couple of times, but it still happen,
Did you ever report to the police on those people who park on your premise so that they can attend the activities in other area?
We just upset, but we never call. We don't do that,
I see.
because I'm a publisher. I don't fight back with people like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One other quick question. Do you have any violations currently with the ABC?
No.
Okay. If there's no other questions from the dais here, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'd like to continue with the public hearing, call up our next speaker.
Our first speaker is going to be Connie Nguyen, followed by Hector Sariana.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Connie Nguyen. For 24 years, my husband and I have owned Blue Restaurant located at 14160 Beach Boulevard, 50 feet from Lavender. I'm here to express my strong opposition to Lavender's application for a restaurant and hard liquor license. My opposition stems from 4 main points. Firstly, and most importantly, is that Lavender is seeking this license in order to operate a nightclub, not as a restaurant. They are trying to mislead you. Why? Their intention was clear from the start when they opened as OC Entertainment and immediately changed the name to OC Nightclub. How do they expect to meet a 30% alcohol, 70% food ratio when they open at 6 p.m.? If they want to operate as a restaurant, then beer and wine is good enough. Second, their serious violation of their conditional of their CUP. Lavender has a long history of not following rules. Not too long after opening, they were sanctioned by the ABC for illegally selling hard liquor. This violation resulted in a 10-day closure ordered by ABC. Despite this penalty, they have continued to violate their ABC permit by allowing minors on their premises. This is evident in their social media postings, where they openly promoted events on featuring children running around inside the establishment for quinceañera parties, which are frequently held there. Additionally, they used third-party promoters to host events with large, unpermitted crowds and sell tickets at the door, which is a violation of their CUP. Third, The secondary effects of their violation will include heightened noise levels, increased littering, significant disruptions in our neighborhoods, and create parking problems. Westminster PD has identified this district as a high crime area. If their application is approved, the situation will worsen. Moreover, increased patronage will cause customers to park in residential areas, posing safety risks and inconveniences for residents. It will also pour over into our lot, more than it already does. When their customers park in our parking lot, we don't have the heart to tow their car away. But if we don't, it creates liability and problems for our customers. Fourth, their claim of having political connections that shield them from legal consequences. The business owner, David, and his manager, they have misled the city, and please don't let them mislead you again. Please vote no to their application.
Thank you for your time. We may call you back up, but thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Oh, our next speaker is Hector Sarinana with Kwang Hung on the other.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to, about Lavender now. We been cleaning up the place, done a lot of work to the place. Yes, there was some problems in the past, but things have changed. And a lot of the problems that came in, we're not asking for an extra liquor license. We're just asking for a change of a liquor license, which we're not saturating. We're just going to a 47 instead of a 22. So the misleading that it's saturated, I don't understand why they say saturated when it's all it is a change. So you're still going to have 11 liquor licenses. And that's one of my things. Next door, as you can hear the problems that we've been having next door, we don't have no competition. Our competition is we don't do urban crowds. We don't do high school parties like they do. And parking is an issue. They bring buses. I can show you pictures where the buses are coming in, bringing in the high school kids. High school kids. And if you want to see more of the pictures, I can present them to you, where we have buses and buses loads. Parking, it's never been an issue. Trash, yes, it's been an issue in our parking lot from them. There's police reports where their kids get drunk, they come over, they lose their keys. What do we do with these kids? So please, we're asking for a little bit of a break, of a change, and I think by seeing that we can meet all the requirements, we'd like to see if we can vote a yes. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You just stated that you blame them for the trash. Do you have camera to show that?
Yes, we do.
And you see the people coming to throw trash coming from their place to you?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so the police department knows about this?
Yes, they do.
They have the video, the image?
I don't know if they have the video image, but we called them. I called them. They've been there.
Thank you.
And just for the record, what is your affiliation with Lavender?
I help out a lot with the bingo, and also they asked me to help out on some of the other venues that they have. Events.
So there's just, you said bingo. That means there's a bingo night or something like that?
There's a bingo night Thursday nights, correct.
Gotcha, okay. Thank
Can
you
I
very
ask a
much.
question?
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, Tony. We have about 30
The
seconds left.
activities at your place, Lavender, now is
Yes.
mostly for bingo and anything else?
Bingo, we have weddings, we have private parties.
Okay.
That's what we do.
And the attendants, are they old or young or
Families.
Can you tell me? Family type?
Families.
Yes. And
Oh.
so far there is no police report on
You can please
turbulence
check.
there.
You can please check in the police. We don't have any problems.
Okay, I take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Hector, for your time.
That's it. Okay.
Our next speaker is Kwang Hung with Don Johnson on deck.
Good evening. My name is Kung. I was invited to one of the event recently. I heard some of the posts, but I was there for one of the event. And just a quick story about me. I'm a retired Navy veteran, serving 23 years. So I've been out about a lot. And recently, back in May, one of my friends invited to the event, and I don't see any problem, any issues. And I was there. We were like for a few hours. The event is like all kind of mingle. Like I didn't catch the name earlier for what they say.
After.
Yeah, but it's parking space, everything for my observance is very safe, and I was enjoying the entire time. And frankly, if last year, if I know about Lavender, I would choose that place as my retirement ceremony. So I did a retirement ceremony on the USS Iowa, but I couldn't find a place for an event that was like so like unique and have all the things that I would plan and get like a big family and relatives all come together. So I'm pro on the approval.
Mr. Chair, if I may interject, I just want to point out that we do have our co-enforcement staff and police staff, as well as our parking traffic engineer here as well. So if you have questions for them, they are available.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
We do.
We'll get to that after public hearing.
I have that already on my list.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Don Johnson with 2 FAM on deck.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Don Johnson. I represent the property that surrounds the Sam Ash and the Lavender. As I've spoken in the past here about this, our previous concerns are the same, was the oversaturation of licenses in this area. That's always a concern for any people that deal with this on a regular basis. I do have to say that there was more issues at the beginning when they first opened, but they've had less events and they have provided security, for instance, on bingo night, that has kept their people out of parking in our sections of the property. I'm still concerned about the parking. There's 120 some spaces available. My understanding that the Sam Ash location, which will be closing soon, has about 95 of those parking places. That leaves only 30 or 40 parking places left for this location. If they're going to operate something that have 100 to 200 people, 40 parking places will not work, period. Where are they going to park? Hence, we have a problem in our parking lot, which is literally a curb distance of about 6 inches to walk over. So that's the biggest concern we have as the owners around the rest of the property. Unfortunately, you as commissioners and both the owner of that current property do not know who will replace Sam Ash. Will this create future parking issues? What kind of store will go in there? Currently, Sam Ash has the rights to the parking till 9 o'clock for the 90 plus 95 parking spaces. If they're going to open at 6 o'clock and have an event that has 200 people where they only have 30 parking places, where will they park? That's our biggest concern. Thank you for your time.
May I have a question regarding him? Yes, you are talking about the parking between 2 places. So in order to stop the violation between both of them, can you have some people install the 4 feet fence so that divide between the 2 opposing activities?
That could be an option, but of course then you're trying to impose a conditional use permit allowance on one property, forcing the other property owner to spend money to give them that conditional use permit to make it work. That would seem unfair from our side, why we would have to spend the money to put the fence in. That's a great idea. If you could require them to put the fence in as part of their conditional use permit, I think that would be something that would make sense.
I think you should proceed in that direction so that both parties can grow along together, and so making our city a good place for all to do business and making the city collect tax money and making our city thriving and improving and attract more people coming to do business in city of Westminster, which he called all American city for all people, not only for a group of people and take the other group out. Okay, I suggest that you should go that way, making a divide fence so that people will not park one place and go into the other to enjoy. Thank you for your
Tony.
concern.
Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is 2FAM with Charles McGrew on deck.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is 2FAM. I do sound and lighting for special events, birthday parties, private parties, music concert. So I have been working to do sound and light for Lavender for the past probably over a year. I've been there many times. I have never seen any issue there. People having a good time there. So like I said, I never seen any issue there. So I'd like to ask the commissioner to approve the license because that would definitely improve their business. And of course, I have a job to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charles McGrew with Robert McCullough on deck.
Well, I wasn't planning on making a speech here, but I am concerned about the changing to the liquor license, which I guess that's up to ABC, maybe not up to the city. The other thing is, I didn't see any exits on those plans. Do they have one in front and one in the back? If they have one in the back, do they have to go through the kitchen if there's a fire or something? Maybe there is one there. But they usually have a dumpster back there. I go by there every day on my walk. And that dumpster would probably be in the way. And there's a lot of trash there. And I send that to the city. If there's trash, I send it to the city on their website. And then if the back lot is going to be used for parking, to meet the parking requirement, where would the entrance be? There's a curb all along there that they couldn't walk in the next door parking lot to get into the front door, so they'd have to have one in the back door. And that's it. Any questions for anybody? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Robert McCullough, followed by Tom D'Angelo. No longer wanting to speak? Okay. Tom D'Angelo, followed by Dan McAuliffe.
Hello, the commissioner. My name is Dr. Thomas D'Angelo. I actually live in Irvine, but I kind of supported Lavender because for the last year, I actually the one that kind of want to bring the bingo to Westminster to help the family. So I looked pretty much everywhere in Westminster. I couldn't find a space. And I even went over Talk to Blues. The space there is not conducive for us to have family nights and what's not. So for the time we were there at Lavender, we don't see any problem. I pay the bill, so I even tried to kind of mediate between the two because I know there's some argument. I don't live in the city, but when I try to go over to Blues to offer that they can serve us food because I need it, would love to have a kitchen inside Lavender to kind of service, and then we're trying to buy food from Blues to kind of offset that, and Blues would not want to work with with Lavender. And so that create a huge difficult for us to kind of support the city. My goal is trying to kind of help the city, the family, the people there, the city, for the church. So we're doing that mostly for Our Lady of Peace, which just resided in Westminster, for Father Joseph. So we want to try to kind of provide some stuff for the family there. So if you have any question, I'd be more than happy to answer that.
Thank you. Next speaker is Dan McKelf, followed by Terry Raines. Dan? No? All right. Terry Raines?
Hi, the full background of this business, Operator David Bowe, and the appearances before this commission and the City Council were wrongly omitted from the staff report. A new CUP and Type 47 liquor license cannot be approved for this business. The city refused to fix Bowe's CUP that conflicts with state law and issued a business license, wrongly classifying this business as arts, entertainment, and recreation, dancing with food, instead of bars, nightclubs, drinking places with alcohol. June 7, 2017, the Planning Commission minus Tony Bowie denied Bowe's CUP for on-site liquor, case 2016-58, due to oversaturation. October 21st, 2020, the Commission approved 3-2 the CUP with a Type 48 license. January 13, 2021, the City Council failed to overturn the Commission's decision. July 27, 2021, ABC issued a Type 42 license only, beer and wine, not a 48. April 20th, 2022, the Commission denied a PCN for Type 48. And September 14, 2022, Bowe withdrew the Type 48 application and began plans for a Type 47 CUP application. September 11, 2021, after numerous complaints, inspections, and investigations by our PD, Planning, Code Enforcement, and ABC, an undercover operation resulted in Bowe being arrested and charged with a misdemeanor, Business and Professions Code 25607A, possession on premises of distilled spirits not covered by license, case number 21WM14883. ABC suspended his license for 10 days pursuant to a settlement agreement and dismissed the court case. I have provided you copies. Bowe has stated his friendship with Mayor Wen, Van Tran, and Lan Quoc Nguyen ensure no one can touch him. Serious violations repeatedly since he opened less than 3 years ago. Advertising, selling, and allowing consumption of distilled spirits, violation of state law Type 42 license, the CUP license type conflicts with ABC. Allowing minors to enter and remain, a violation of state law Type 42 license, CUP conflicts with state law. Allowing sales and consumption of alcohol after 1 a.m., violation of ABC's condition that Bowe agreed to, CUP conflicts with ABC. Charging admission fees, CUP 21 violation. Allowing third-party promoters with criminal history, CUP 32 violation. Naked sushi model event, CUP 22, WMC 91630 and 91640 violations. Entertainment within a half hour of closing, CUP 28 violation. 1 cent beers and free buckets of beer, ABC violation that Bowe agreed to. No happy hour or reduced alcohol price promotions allowed. Live band with more than 5 members, CUP 26 violation. Inspections found unpermitted dance floor, stage, no master fire plan, fire alarm not working, and rear emergency exit doors blocked and sealed. City and ABC licenses issued to OC Entertainment, but the business operated as OC Nightclub, now Lavender. There's no fictitious business name registered for either. This club is a public nuisance and a drain on city resources. The repeated and continued serious violations warrant a Type 47 denial and an outright revocation of the current CUP. I support our small businesses, but only those who operate legally. Don't reward Bowe for violating state law and the conditions set forth by the city. Vote no.
Chair, we have no further speakers.
All right. At this time, I'd like to...
I'm sorry, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I received a written question asking something, so I'd like to address that, if that's okay.
Sure.
Terry Rain had provided me a written indicating that staff report indicates that the floor plan for the restaurant uses 53%. However, my presentation indicated otherwise, which is 65%. So she is correct. When I was drafting the staff report, the project plans indicated less than 60%, and additionally, the maximum of 30% sales coming from the alcohol sale. All those definitions, individual definitions, all the draft conditions of approval were all provided, and I had a discussion and meeting with the applicant to go over all those items. So after the meeting, the applicant had revised the plan to increase the floor area to make sure that the restaurant is at minimum 60%. And after the recalculation, which included the restroom, which is for the restaurant use, the hallways, any walkway that's part of the restaurant, that's all part of it. Previously, the restrooms were counted towards the kitchen, and none of the hallways leading to the restrooms were counted. So they added those, and it came out to close to 65%. So that's addressing Terry's question.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Tony.
And
Go ahead.
so the 65% that was submitted to you before the approval of staff.
Originally, the floor plan indicated 53%.
But by the time you received the
Revised floor plan?
That's when you decide to approve it, right? By staff.
No, staff does not approve it. We make recommendations.
The recommendation now states that to approve.
1 second, hold on. Before we go back and forth about these numbers, I want to address this public hearing that's still open. So before we do that, does any of the commissioners have any questions specifically for any of the public hearings, or can I close it?
I would like to have my opinion or my things about the last presentation from the
Do you have
people.
questions specifically for the last speaker, Terry Raines?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then we would need to take a vote and everybody would have to agree that we could bring her back up as a speaker, correct?
Okay, thank you.
So
I
Tony would like to ask more questions of Terry.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm fine.
Okay, can we bring Ms. Terry Raines back up?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Tony.
Hi, Ms. Terry Raines. I saw you are very active to participate in many of our activities from the city meeting and many other ones. And you are very active. I hope that you, in the future, you can be one of the people who serve the city. However, in your presentation here, I saw my name here. You said June 7, 2017, the Planning Commission minus Tony Bui deny VO's cup for on-site liquor. I don't recall that only me who do that. So I would like to ask your presentation in paperwork or in the report on that one, particularly. Because if I don't straighten up, then this thing will be in my record. That means I do things for individual. And I want to tell you that I work for the people because I am from the people, for the people, and work for the people. So please,
So can I respond?
straighten up whatever you present.
Chair, can I respond, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. On June 7th, 2017, staff can pull up the Planning Commission minutes from that date, June 7, 2017. You were the only commissioner that voted no to deny the liquor permit CUP. Okay, next question.
I request you to present to me the record of that day, please.
Are you asking for minutes from the...
Yes, on the June 7, 2017, because I don't recall that I am the only one who vote on that case. Because most of the time we have a group of 5 people, and if you want to
Tony, can I clarify? Terry, I think is just saying that you voted no.
Do you have questions for me, Mr. Bowie, please?
Right. So do we have any more questions for Terry?
No, thank you very much.
Any other commissioners have any questions or clarifications? Everything's in your, handed out to you, so thank you.
So much. All right, seeing that we have no other questions for any of the public hearing speakers, I would like to go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Now I'd like to take a few minutes. I'm sure there's some questions that are going to staff, code enforcement, things like that are here. Do we have any questions or want to talk about some things? Go ahead.
Yes, I do. Just want to start off with, for our staff, all the commissioners do appreciate the volume of information you provided to the commission. And in going through it, I just wanted to clarify or just get a confirmation that all of the conditions that staff was recommending, police, and the police consultant, those ended up in the PC resolution?
That is correct.
Okay, because I did see where the applicant, in their, wish list of conditions, had omitted several items who wanted some of the conditions dropped. Is that your understanding? This would be from the consultant's report from Security Design Concepts?
Yes.
Okay, according to this, the applicant wanted to remove the prohibition of using third-party promoters, remove the prohibition of charging admission, remove the prohibition of having lines form outside the business, remove noise requirements or conduct at the business that would be at level to cause a disturbance, and remove access to the property anytime deemed necessary by the police department or community development department for the purpose of inspecting the premises to verify compliance with the approved conditions. So all those are in.
That is correct.
Okay.
The draft resolution contains, I believe, total of 60 conditions of approval. And besides the first standard language in the conditions of approval, there are ongoing conditions of approval. And after each of those conditions, there are parentheses indicating who is responsible. And majority of them are Westminster PD and planning.
Okay. Now, we did hear a couple of the speakers speaking on behalf of Lavender. We did comment on family events. Now, it's my understanding that we're considering here, they currently have a Type 42 license,
that is correct,
which is beer and wine and no minors. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's correct. It's beer and wine and no minors. So if we have a family event, they shouldn't be serving beer and wine. So if they're having family events, that would seem to me all they're going to be having is bingo and soda pop. If they're not, they're in violation. So I was surprised to hear that we have family events going on at an establishment with a Type 42 license. Now, going back a little bit, I was on the Planning Commission when the applicant came forward and wanted to have a Type 48, which is basically, it's a nightclub. It's a bar nightclub. And there's no food, no minors, and in that case, the city requires that for a conditional use permit with the Type 48, they must come up with the city must approve a determination of public convenience or necessity. And at that time, the Planning Commission voted no. They voted not to give a determination of public convenience or necessity. It's probably one of the first times that's been done in my recollection. And I was on the commission and I voted in favor of that. Another point is that this particular type license does require, as we've heard, that meals be served, that you have food, alcohol sales not exceed 30% of gross sales of food. So who checks this? And I don't need an answer from you, but this is just a question. Who's going to check this? How much time is going to be spent? How accurate are the results going to be? Second, 60% of the public area must be restaurant. Again, who checks? Who goes in and measures? What if at some point they decide to say, well, hey, we're having a special event. We're going to scale the food area back to 30%. Again, who checks? Third item, there's condition number 60. The restaurant shall operate during hours of business. The business is open. That's 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's 8 hours. So they're supposed to have a chef and food available for 8 hours. Are they going to do that? Who checks? Again, and then finally, I want to say I have a great deal of respect for our Westminster Police Department. I've lived in the city since 1973. I worked for the city from 1971 to 2008. So I have a long history here at the city, and I enjoy being on the Planning Commission, and I'd like to see our community continue on and get better every day. So with that in mind, I was pleased to see that our police department has retained security design concepts, and they specialize in conditional use permits and other applications before cities. And they provided information. They provided a 3-page report to our city staff, and it's in our agenda. We have that in our Planning Commission agenda. And I think the most telling point here, and this is from the owner of the company, Bruce Ram, and he states in his report dated April 19th, 2024, finally, as noted, they, meaning the Lavender, plan on operating the business just like the next door restaurant, Club Blue, where it morphs into a nightclub later in the evening. And then and then in our staff, in the material we received from staff, you pointed out that according to the police records, Club Blue has significant calls for police services. And then also from Mr. Ram, he closes by saying, having 2 nightclubs next to each other only exacerbates the demand on police resources, especially in the late evening and early morning hours. With both clubs letting out at the same time, 2 a.m., it would create a real challenge for not only the nightclub staff security, but also the police department. So to me, there's just too much uncertainty as to how well the city would be able to regulate this as a true restaurant and not just a nightclub. And so at this point, those are my comments, but I don't feel this would be an appropriate use.
I could provide some feedback to some of your questions that you've asked, especially regarding the verification of the floor area and verification of their profit on alcohol sales. So we did have these discussions among the staff and with the applicant. So the 40% of the, 60% of the restaurant, that will have to go through the plan check through the building because they will have to install the kitchen. So it involves building permit. And that involves inspections, both from building and through planning. So that we will ensure that the physical area is actually there to, for example, they won't be able to increase the bar area per se because we will know that there is an existing bar, and if it encroaches into the seating area, then we will definitely know that there is addition. And the inspection, as far as making sure that they are, following the rules and conditions of approval, that is something that the city is working to find the details and how often it will be. However, that is up for discussion with the PD, and we are working on that. As far as the business inspection, we do have a business inspector that will be instructed to obtain the sales records. And I did have a meeting with the applicant, and they have agreed to, according to the applicant, and you could clarify with the applicant as well, that when the employees are receiving orders, that they are receiving drink orders separately from the food order. So that way they have a book keeping that clearly indicate the sales of the alcohol versus sales of the food. Okay. And lastly, you did ask a question about the PCN. I did reach out to ABC and ask the question about the PCN because I did not receive a request to make the determination of public convenience or necessity for the proposed license 47. Applicant indicated he didn't know, so I reached out to the representative who's assigned to this project, and she has confirmed that PCN is not required from the city.
Yeah, thank you. But you didn't answer one question. You covered most of it. We actually threw in an extra one as well. But it gets back to the restaurant operating 8 hours a day with a chef and food availability. And again, how do you check it? And you've said, well, we're going to check. We have ways of accounting and we have physical barriers. That's in an ideal world. But there's really no way on a daily basis to check this. And you don't have to answer that. But that's my observation. Just based on past history of such uses in our community, you just can't keep an eye on everything, and this is one of those that falls into that category. Thank you, Sandy.
My turn?
Yes,
Thank
please.
you. Just have a question for Vicky. Code enforcement. Hello, Vicky.
Good evening,
It's good seeing you. Quick question here. In the last 6 years, how many code enforcement violations you have on Lavender?
So we have our records going back from 2019. I did a whole synopsis. We had everything from the illegal construction, that would be the stage, all the way to the bar. We don't do whether they're serving distilled alcohol or not. ABC went in there and did a lot of those inspections. I'm basically doing the land use and the unpermitted construction. So through the time, we had issued notices, final notices, citations, several meetings in person in City Hall with the business owner and staff. So we finally did, after numerous meetings, got compliance with several of the things that were abated that we were doing inspections on, which was the unpermitted bar, the unpermitted construction. They had a catwalk, the stage, raised foundation, seating area. So we finally got all that either abated or then we get it permitted. So then just most currently, we're now working on when the enforcement that we just started in January of this year, which is when the sign changed from OC Entertainment to now Lavender. So code enforcement has been working on that. There was enforcement required. Citations were necessary. Plans have been submitted for that. It's been reviewed through planning. Corrections are being made for that.
Okay.
So code enforcement right now is just working on that aspect. The interior, we had already closed. That was in 2022, 2023. So right now, the only thing that we have pending is that we're kind of in hold is for the corrections to come back to get the Lavender sign permitted.
I see.
So,
Okay, so the owner right now being cooperative.
I'm sorry?
The owner right now being cooperative.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, they
That's
did
all I
submit
wanna know.
it took a little bit of a challenge,
So
but they
corrections
did
be-
submit the plans
so
that were
corrections-
necessary.
Corrections being on the way, right?
I'm sorry?
The corrections being on the way.
Yes, we're
Okay.
working toward the compliance.
Okay, awesome.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
You're quite welcome.
Another question for the police department. To the commander. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Hi, Commissioners.
Okay, sir, quick question here. In the last 6 years, how many DUI came out of that place, if any?
I don't have that.
You have
that-
no record
no,
of that?
No.
Okay. Any issues, fighting in the parking lot? Any problems came out from that place at all?
Well,
No
most of
record.
the issues that we've had, because they've sporadically been open, have been calls from the community on potential for illegal events. We usually escort code enforcement in when they check on these events.
Okay.
Situations like that.
Okay, so there's no fighting, no...
Not that we're reporting as of right now of
Okay.
recent.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's all. That's my main concern.
That's the only question.
Chair,
Appreciate it.
may I have a question to?
Yes.
Hi. Glad for you to be here and present the things to us so that we can clarify the situation there.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
In the past 5 years, did you have any report of a shooting or killing that hurt people, kill people in that area? And if so, is that true that where it did happen?
I'm not sure. I was the supervisor the night we had the shooting at Blue, if that's what you're referring to. I don't remember what year that was, maybe 18, 19. I was the one that was there. 2 people were shot. 1 was killed out in front of the location.
I
But it
heard
was
you
in front
say-
of the Blue
Blue?
business, not not the business we're discussing today.
I see. So is it considered like the crime area when you put that in status report?
So the stats in this crime area is of a short period of time. So it wouldn't have, if we're talking 5 years ago, that wouldn't have gone into here. I believe these crime stats were from the last 12 months, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank
that
you.
make sense?
Yes. So thank you for your information.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, no.
You had a further question? Go ahead, Alan.
For staff, does the city have any idea what's coming next door where Sam Ash right now? Any idea? Any business coming in, or it's going to be empty for a while?
I have no idea. We have not received any information regarding who wants to obtain a business license or any other land use application.
So for the meantime, the parking will be completely empty for his business?
That is correct.
Okay.
And when the Sam Ash has a new tenant, and when that new tenant comes, the applicant will have to revisit the shared parking demand study.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
And the property owner is also aware of that because the shared parking agreement included Lavender, Sam Ash, and the property owners. So they are all aware if there's any changes to land uses or any change of hours, that the city will assess the project to determine whether a new parking demand study will be required.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Chair, may I have some question to the owner of the Blue?
Well, we closed the public hearing, Tony.
Okay,
so
then I
probably not.
ask the staff.
You can ask staff.
Would you please, in your tabulation, you said that many restaurant has 47 license. That including Blue, right? Blur restaurant.
I'm going to go back to my table.
I believe that's correct.
Blue has type 47. That is correct.
You should call it Blur because they call it Blur, not Blue.
I'm sorry.
Actually, they are Blur.
I
That's
think
the French.
Actually, it says the correct spelling is bleu.
Blue. Okay. Oh, so that is the only one who has 47 in that area. In that case, if...
No. Seafood Paradise, line number 8, on the, actually, this, what is it called? Seafood Paradise. The address is 8602 Westminster. They also have type 47.
Yes. But it's far away from that place.
That is correct.
So
It's
now
on the
if
other.
we have another place like Lavender, they apply to it, then we can call it equal opportunities for people doing business with condition, CUP, condition use permit. And you, the city, has to enforce that conditions. Is that right?
The city is responsible for ensuring that the applicant is adhering to those conditions of approval. If there's any violations, then the code enforcement or the police department could go out and do some investigation to determine if there has been any violation.
Okay. So in that case, we should not have one who dictate the area that the only one who has the license in that area, and I don't want any other people to have that. And that is not fair.
That
if
is
you do
not
business
determined
like
by
that.
the staff. This is the public hearing, and the planning commissions will make that determination.
Yes,
Staff is just providing the presentation.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I had a couple questions myself. First and foremost, it was mentioned about, in the public hearing about back parking. Is there actually parking behind the building?
That is correct. There are parking in the back. That was how the original development was called out for, parking in the front, perhaps parking in the rear for employees or other.
And that's included in the 120,
22.
122? Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay, so there's some consideration there, because I know parking is probably the biggest concern with the other tenants nearby. We talked about a few other things too. It just seems kind of interesting to me that, can you give me a little bit more insight for the public record exactly on the specifications for the license 47 from ABC? The conditions are it's an operating restaurant. Does that include event spaces? Does that include special event spaces? What does that include, and what does that mean, restaurant?
Again, I provided the definition. The city's definition is that it needs to be a bona fide restaurant. It has to be. So one of the conversations that I did have with the applicant, and I was hoping maybe Megan would come up and talk about her. So Megan Chu is the agent assisting David Vo, the applicant. And I did have extensive discussions about that. So let's just say somebody has a birthday event or wedding. So somebody reserves the facility to have the dinner served, start their event starting at 6 o'clock, and they will serve the dinner till like 8, 9. And once the dinner is finished, they will open up for dinner, just like a typical wedding reception or something like that. And at that time, they will be cleaning up all the food, and then the entertainment will be provided at that time. So additional details, perhaps you could ask, and that is, and I did verify, and ABC did not have any objections to it.
Okay. And then the difference between 47 and 48 is that 48 specifically is a nightclub. Those are
48 is specifically for nightclub. 47 is specifically for bona fide restaurant.
Bona fide restaurant.
With full
I like that
kitchen.
Term. Bona fide restaurant. Excellent. Any other questions for staff, code enforcement, please, from any other commissioners?
No, just another comment. You bring up, Casey, on the issue of the bona fide kitchen, and even though Sandy read the details, if you look at it, there's a lot of opportunities for interpretation on a bona fide kitchen. For example, it says they have to have a refrigerator, okay? So somebody goes to Home Depot and gets a residential refrigerator. And then it says you have to have a stove. So they get a stove from Home Depot, and you need a dishwasher. It could be pretty minimal, and the capacity of that could be pretty minimal. And if you think of the restaurant that Sandy mentioned, is it the Seafood Paradise?
Seafood Paradise?
Paradise, yeah. I've been in there, and probably a lot of folks have. Well, that's definitely just that's definitely a restaurant. There's no question about a restaurant in there and the size of their kitchen and their capacity. But I think there's opportunities for interpretation in this. And so if somebody were to apply for this type of conditional use permit, alcohol and beverage sales, they could say, well, I've got a refrigerator, I've got a stove, I've got a dishwasher, and I got a chef, and here's what we're serving. And if you'll notice, the conditions don't say, I don't think there's a condition in here, and maybe Sandy, you could clarify, we're not approving the menu tonight. They can serve what they want to serve food-wise. And again, it's just, in my mind, it's just an opportunity to get a Type 48 license and not have to go through the scrutiny of a Type 48 and under the guise of a restaurant. We're doing a restaurant. It's going to be for families, and it's going to be for the community. But as Mr. Ram pointed out in his consultant's report, in his opinion, this will just morph into a nightclub at night. If that's what the community wants, if that's acceptable, well, that's the direction it'll go. But I believe this just really isn't appropriate for our community.
If I could provide some feedback, the proposed menu, although the proposed menu is not exactly like the menu format that you would actually see at the restaurant, but they did provide us the type of dishes, the appetizer, the main dishes, and part of the project description. And additionally, the proposed kitchen, they are proposing 3 hoods, commercial hoods, and they are also proposing walk-in freezer and walk-in refrigerator. I don't think it's a small type, and it's actually shown on my presentation. I'm not sure if the Okay. So I will enlarge my floor plan. So this is a walk-in closet, walk-in freezer and refrigerator. And there's a stove here, there's a stove here, and there's a stove here. And above those stoves, there are hoods. Behind the unit is underground grease trap they're proposing. Originally, the applicant wanted to propose a new trash enclosure in the back. However, the city engineers indicated that it will encroach into the two-way driveway. Therefore, the applicant has agreed to use existing trash enclosure, which is on the south side of their unit. And I think that's it for...
Well, and you use the word proposing, and we're just looking at this time it's on paper or digital. So is there a way to tie this in, that if the applicant doesn't come through with this kitchen design, that the conditional use permit could be revoked?
That is correct. That it will be up to the city and commissioners. You could call off for review. As far as the kitchen, absolutely, you're right. It is on the paper. However, the applicant will have 12 months to submit plans to activate the CUP. If he does not submit anything within the next 12 months, if this project gets approved, it will expire. The CUP will actually expire. So only way he could exercise his conditional use permit is by actually going through with what he's proposing and with all conditions of approval. And conditions of approval indicates that they have to submit plan for their kitchen and restaurant, grease trap, etc.
And it would have to comply with what we're seeing this evening? You said there's
Correct.
3 stoves.
I will be checking for all conditions of approval before I sign off on the final inspection.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I have a question to the staff? Yes, I would like to know that when you agree to have 47 to the Blue restaurant, do they have to comply to the CUP? And if so, do you have a copy of it so that I can compare between this entity with the other entities and how you enforce it? That's the first question.
I don't have any information regarding Blue and their entitlement process. This is regarding the case number 2023-0777. So I don't have any information. However, every entity or any business who has entitlement, such as a conditional use permit with conditions of approval, they all have to follow it. If anyone, even if it's 10 years later, if they are violating their CUP, it could potentially can be called up for hearing or revocation.
And if the people from the public want a copy of that CUP from certain premise, can the city provide them so that they can check to make sure that premise follow the rules set forth?
That is correct. And anybody, the public, the politician, anyone could request for public records request. And you file a request to obtain certain copies of city records, then the city has 10 days to provide you those information.
Yes, the reason I bring it up because I saw these problems has been happened 4 years ago, 2020, and then 4 years now, 2024. And if something didn't go through, another 4 years to solve the problem again. Because what? Because of competition between business, and it is violate the principle of our business, the equal opportunities for all the people to work to ensure happiness and ensure serving to the public as long as they comply with codes and with the condition use permit.
Absolutely, I agree. All businesses have to adhere. If you see anything that you see, or if the public sees that they're violating any conditions of approval based on the copies that they actually obtained, then any of those complaints can be filed with code enforcement. You have indicated 4 years ago you identified some issues. Were those reported? And I would like to, follow up would be, were those addressed by the reporting party?
Yeah, the reason behind it, because we don't want the city to be sued by one group, legal suing by one group with the other one.
I think we've exhausted that point of conversation as far as code enforcement following up.
All right. So that is what my concern, and I would like to have fair for all the people who come to City of Westminster to do business, and that is the core money to make our city thriving and improving. Thank you.
Anything else from you? I'm good. You're good? Okay, I have a couple of final comments. We kind of have a case here in front of us, and this is just me kind of verbal processing, if you will. We've got an applicant here who's applying for a conditional use permit based upon a 47 license from ABC, which is a bona fide restaurant. Bona fide restaurant is what the city states in this conditional use permit. But the applicant is still looking to operate the same exact business that they're currently operating, which essentially is an event space and a nightclub. It's not, to me, really a bona fide restaurant. A bona fide restaurant doesn't open at 6 p.m. Even the best sushi places in town at least open at 3:30 for happy hour. So we have some hours and usage and description about what's being applied for versus quite possibly the reality of what's going to be operated. We don't see any indication here of that there's going to be a change in the operation. It's just, well, we're going to give you a kitchen so that we can go ahead and legally approve from code enforcement the bar we already installed, if I heard right from code enforcement. So they already installed a bar. Now they're taking the bar out to meet code enforcement. And now they're trying to apply to put the bar back in. And in order to do that, they're going to have to put money and build a kitchen. I'm not sure if you heard that, but that's what I kind of heard tonight. I've got a couple of problems personally. I asked the applicant if they've ever had any violations of ABC, and the applicant said no. Emphatically, they said no. And we've been provided with information up here, thanks to one of our speakers, that there in fact has been several violations over the last few years, according to ABC. Some of them may even be outstanding under OC Nightclub and whatnot before the previous name with the same owner in the same location. So we have a situation here where we have a business in the city. What your personal opinion about that business is up to you to decide and up to the general public. But what I have in front of me tonight is an applicant who didn't tell me the truth and actually said there's no violations. I've never had any, but we actually have the records of them violating it. And we also have the real issue before us is this event space / nightclub / bingo parlor, whatever it's operating, how it's operating at this current point, are they going to be a bona fide restaurant in order to meet the conditions of this conditional use permit and be a type 47 license with ABC? And that's kind of what I wanted to speak out to you guys so that we can deliberate and talk about this. And I kind of picked up a little bit of that from you earlier, I think, as well. Like you can get a stove at Home Depot and meet the stove condition, and you can get a hood fan and a residential dishwasher and meet some of those conditions. Any thoughts, any comments, anything anybody wants to?
I'm going to say, I heard everything you said. I heard also what Don said, but I want to give the applicant one chance. I have a feeling, that's my opinion, that he did not understand the questions, especially his English is very hard to be understood. I think he did not understand what you asked him when you asked him about the violation. I think maybe you should call him up again and ask him to clarify with him and see if he spoke correctly or not.
Well, we've closed the public hearing, so
And
I'm not going to invite him.
I understood. I heard what was said, and
I just have a feeling that he did not understand the question.
Well, and just to follow up too on the chairman's comments, and I think it's maybe kind of been lost in the shuffle here this evening, the fact that the reason that the applicant is pursuing this, they want to sell distilled spirits, mixed drinks. Not just beer and wine, it's distilled spirits, it's alcohol, liquor. And so this, I think, puts it into a whole different realm of activity. And again, as indicated in the consultant's report, the consultant was retained by the police department. He says clearly this will morph into a nightclub at night. And I think the operating hours are not extensive enough to support a restaurant. There's just no way.
I agree with that, but maybe he should work with staff again to change the hours, if he wants that license to be approved. I mean, in my opinion, he's following the rules. He's working with staff. He's doing his best. He's going to put a kitchen in. So to me, it's a business, and I cannot deny a business from being existing. I want the business to thrive in the city. I want the right use for the business also, like you said. And who's going to watch the sales of only 30% of alcohol?
Right.
That's a lot of, there's issues here.
And if the applicant applied for a 48, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Yeah.
Because that would be a nightclub / event space that would operate in those hours of the night. But they're actually applying for a 47. So we have kind of, we've got some gray area here. It's going to be our judgment whether or not that needs to be approved or if there's other conditions that have to be met.
If we're going to approve it, we're going to have to approve it with a lot of conditions. That's for sure. It's not going to be just an approval of everything that is on the table.
And it's important, too, to keep in mind what we're considering this evening. It's a conditional use permit. And the purpose of a conditional use permit is to make a determination that the proposed use will not have a negative impact on the surrounding area.
Yes.
So it's not just about the business or about the business making money or about giving a business owner a break. What's the impact on our community? What's the long-range impact on our community? That's what we need to be looking at,
As long as
I think, primarily.
As long as he comply with the codes, city codes, and the conditions and revisions when needed, everything can be possible to be done.
Well, and I know you know a lot of restaurant owners, and so do I, and I
I've
work
had
with a
two
lot
of
of
them myself.
I've seen restaurant openers that open restaurants.
Yeah,
Then they get a 42 so they can provide beer and wine. And then when they function as an operating restaurant, then they go back and apply for the distilled spirits. So they kind of follow the process to get that distilled spirit license. What we're here is we're trying to, in my mind, we're putting the cart before the horse. Yeah. We don't have an operating restaurant that's seeking a conditional use permit to just expand its offerings to its clients. We don't have an operating restaurant. We have an operating bingo, event, wedding, personal rental space. And that's different than a bona fide restaurant according to the city's definition.
I've got a question for the staff, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Staff, I have a question. If he gets approved, let's say, is he immediately be able to operate as a restaurant? Or he has to go through the whole thing, recommendation, codes, revisions, whatever you guys ask for, he has to comply with, right?
The applicant will have to submit plans that depicts actual kitchen and how he will install the kitchen, how he will, so the technical calculations.
Inspection, everything has to pass.
And then the inspections, and the health department will also be called, fire department will also call.
Everything is there.
I'm sorry?
And also the code enforcement also has to approve everything, along with your...
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, but Sandy, just now, if this individual wanted to open a restaurant in conjunction with what he currently has, would he need a CUP?
Not for his restaurant.
So he could open a restaurant and he could show us he can operate a restaurant, then he could come back and it could apply for the type 47.
I suppose
Because he would have a restaurant in place, would be operating, and everybody would say, yeah, hey, he has a restaurant, by golly, let's do it.
He currently has a beer and wine license.
Exactly. Right. We could put that in the recommendation for him to be under 47 if he comply with the restaurant, open restaurant, and all that stuff. Why have to be twice? It could be once. And if he comply, he could open up. Doesn't comply, comes back to us, we shut him down.
I don't know how you would postulate a CUP based upon them. I mean, you're already kind of doing that anyways. It has to be an operating business, an operating function with a kitchen in order for the CUP to be enforceable. But at the same time, do we issue it now, or do we have the applicant actually open a restaurant?
By issuing it, he's going to start the construction.
Go ahead.
I just want to remind one of the conversations is you have to be mindful of, he's got a 42. 42 is
Correct.
a tavern and no minors. So if he opens a restaurant, he can't use his 42 license. And so I think you have to, that's probably one of his considerations, I'm not speaking for him, because that license only lasts for so long, and he's trying to convert it. That may be,
I see.
so he could open a restaurant, but I think he ends up losing the license because he can't sell alcohol. I mean, he can still have it, I guess he still gets it. I don't think he loses it, he just can't sell alcohol if he wants to open a bona fide eating establishment, which it opens up to families and minors.
Okay.
So 47 would cover families and minors.
No, yes, 47's 47 is a bona fide eating establishment, which is a restaurant. So as they like Sandy has pointed out, you have to sell mainly food. Alcohol is a throwback. It's like it's an aside, yes,
Extra.
but it has to be mainly, the percentage has to be food. That's even besides the city's code. That's ABC's code too. ABC requires
Got
that.
it. Okay.
If I'm, me personally, if I'm going to approve something like this, there's going to be a couple things that I would want in place.
Okay.
First, cameras. I want internal cameras on the property. I want to watch what happens. I want to have city police department the right to access those cameras whenever and be used by code enforcement. Because some of these violations in the past are all because we don't know what's going on. And if we had video evidence and video proof. So I would suggest internal cameras with up to 6 months of recording be a requirement for the CUP. That way, if some violations are reported by the general public, there's video evidence. And if they're found that they've erased video evidence at that time, then they will, it's like an automatic default on the conditional use permit. The second qualification that I would want to have is a mandatory electronic point of sale system. And that point of sale system, something like Toast or Dinerware, there's tons of them on the market, that electronic POS, a point of sale system, is going to guarantee for code enforcement that they can look into the books and accounting accurately, and it's going to be recorded electronically. It's generally not going to be fudged, and it's going to show you whether or not they're actually selling more than 30% alcohol on premise. So handwritten tickets, we all know those days are of the past. And if you're going to have this type of code enforcement where we actually want to enforce code, we're going to need to make sure that there's a way to do that. If we don't have the mechanism, we can't enforce the code. So those would be my two primary things that I would want to focus on. And we haven't even looked at the property in general, whether or not there's backlighting on this back parking and all kinds of other conditions. But I would assume that the property owner wants to keep their tenants and their patrons safe. Those would be my two conditions if I'm going to set something aside. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts.
I agree with what your suggestion, 2 items. That is how you control and check and balance of the system. I go for it.
I don't mind it, as long as he followed the city codes, condition revisions when needed, or whatever stuff is going to apply. I don't mind.
Any thoughts, Commissioner Anderson?
Well, just to reiterate again, I think what we're seeing from the consultant, and our police department selected this consultant. I believe this consultant is knowledgeable, and he states here, with both clubs letting out at the same time, 2 a.m., would create a real challenge for our police. So if we want to put this extra burden on our police, okay, that's a choice we can make or not make. And then it also just, again, the consultant stated that this will morph, in his opinion, and I accept that, in his opinion, this will morph into a nightclub.
So
now, regardless of the conditions that are imposed, it's going to morph into a nightclub, and it's going to be a challenge for our police.
Okay, let's say he changed his mind, decided to open at 3 p.m. Would that be considered as a restaurant? Or still a nightclub?
Well, again, I think it's the evening hours. It's going to, I think just the type is.
I don't want to speak on his behalf. He's just a business, and all businesses in the city should be treated the same. And I want to approve it under the conditions. I really want to.
I think you should amend the condition use permit per your suggestion of the chair.
I mean, we could say what I said and add his conditions also.
So are you making a motion?
I am making the motion.
Okay.
I
Can
go
you
for it.
speak clearly for the record your motion?
Okay. I move approve to the conditional use permit alcohol license from 42 to 47 with the staff recommendation as long as the owner comply with all the city codes and conditions and revisions when needed. You could add whatever you want to it.
I second it.
No,
Okay,
you can add
so
more.
do you want to add the 2 conditions that I mentioned, which would be internal security cameras and
That's fine.
electronic point of sale system?
I have no
for
problem with it.
Food and beverage tracking.
Correct. I'm with that.
So your motion, and clerk, would you like to clarify the motion? That would be great.
Thank you, Chair. So I have a motion made by Commissioner Hamade, a second made by Commissioner Bowie. This is to approve staff recommendation to adopt a resolution entitled A Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Westminster, California, approving case number 2023-0777, conditional use permit to upgrade an existing on-sale of beer and wine alcohol license type 42 to an on-sale of beer, wine, and distilled spirits alcohol license type 47 by adding a bona fide restaurant with a complete kitchen to an existing nightclub banquet facility on property located at 14190 Beach Boulevard, Assessor's Parcel Number 097-080-36, with the additional conditions of internal cameras and mandatory electronic point-of-sale system. I'll go ahead and call roll. Commissioner Bowie?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamade?
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson?
No.
Chair Wolbert?
Yes.
3-1, motion carried.
All right, moving on to a next agenda item, number 9, regular business. I don't believe we have any. Or actually, there's 9.1, I guess.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to kind of get a sense of your availability for the next regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting, which is on July 3rd. It's the day before 4th of July, one of the most important holidays in the United States. So we do have one item, and we did make some phone contacts a few days ago to see your availability, and a number of the commissioners were not certain at that time. So just kind of want to circle back and see where are we with this question now. And if we don't have a quorum, then we will need to take a vote to cancel the July 3rd meeting due to lack of quorum.
Okay.
Tony, you going to be here July 3rd?
No, I have no plan. I can attend the meeting. No.
Yeah, I will not be able to attend.
Professor?
I'm checking my calendar. Wednesday the 3rd. Are you going to be here?
I will be here.
I'll be here too. I'll show up.
So it sounds like Tony's available. Don is not. I'm not sure about Jameson. You'd have to reach out for him. But
We have
with the 3 of us, we would have a quorum.
Let me switch this question. How is the staff with that? Are you guys available?
We already have an item, and we thought we should check it to make sure that we have a quorum.
Okay, as long as you guys are here, I'll come.
So we can inform our applicant.
Yes.
No problem. We'll make it happen.
All right, perfect. Moving on to item number 10, any reports from staff? Or any reports at all? And item 11, matters from staff. I don't think we have any of that either, except for 11.1, Community Development Director Report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission for giving me this opportunity to provide you a few updates. So first and foremost, we do have a recent retirement in the Planning Division. Steve Radke, our now former Planning Manager, concluded his 35.5 years with the city last Friday, June 19th. Sending him off was bittersweet, while the entire entire planning division appreciates his years of hard work and mentorship for every staff member, and we'll really miss him. We are also very happy for him for reaching this next chapter of his life. 4 weeks before his retirement, Dad kept asking how would he like to celebrate his retirement? Does he want a luncheon, an announcement, or a plaque from the city? And he said no to every suggestion. And that is why this news was not broadly announced. We did, however, convince him to let us buy him a cake. So we did decorate his office very nicely, presented him with a gift from all of us, and celebrated his retirement with a cake at the end of last week.
It's very nice. We're going to miss him for sure.
Yes, and
That's a surprise to me. I didn't know he's going to retire. We spoke about it. He says, I have many years left here. All of a sudden, he's retiring. That's surprising.
Right. But we also know that, since he was not just a coworker, but a friend as well, me personally have known Steve since I was fresh out of graduate school. And I see this as not a goodbye, but a see you later, because we know we'll stay in touch.
Or as Steve would say, a CUP later.
Maybe he's watching us right now.
I've known Steve for many years, too.
And then earlier this week, we also received news that Commissioner Power is moving and will be stepping down from his role on the Planning Commission at the end of July. The City Clerk's office will be handling the recruitment for his replacement. And finally, I'd like to thank Ashton Arocho, our city clerk, for assisting us with our Planning Commission meetings since January. As the Planning Commissioners are probably aware, we have staff turnovers in the planning division, including our former admin assistant, Shelley Stevens, who departed in the fall of last year. Ashton has so graciously offered to help clerk our meetings, and I can't thank her enough. And in addition to helping us clerk our meetings, she also helped to train our new admin assistant, Patricia. This will be Ashton's last Planning Commission meeting with us. So starting with the next meeting, you will see Patricia by herself.
Okay.
This is a new realm of learning for her, so please be kind to her. I know you well.
We're always going to be kind. You know it.
I know you well. But I have all the confidence in the world that she will do great.
Of course.
And this concludes my update. I thank you for your service, and I look forward to our next meeting.
Thank you so much. All right, agenda item number 12, matters from the Planning Commission, including AB 1234, reports when required.
Nothing.
Any reports?
No.
All right, well, I would like to, if you're watching, we're going to miss you.
Adjourn his name, please.
Yes, we're definitely going to adjourn in Steve's name tonight. I'll send you a bouquet of flowers and a golf club or whatever you need for your retirement. Really want to thank the public for being involved in this meeting, especially those that made it out here tonight, or if you're watching from home. Planning for the city is super important, and we definitely appreciate all your input. With that being said, I would like to adjourn this meeting, and our regularly scheduled meeting will be next on July 3rd, 2024 at 6:30. Thank you for joining us. Have a good night.